again. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at is going to be putting in our jaw plates. Okay, our jaw plates. So as we look on our assembly, our jaw plates are number 25030. So we're going to click on assemble. And 25030, there we go. And those are going to be those jaw plates. And you'll notice that it automatically comes in here. I'm going to kind of bring this down here. And again, I like to bring over and get it as close to where I want it to be before I start adding constraints. So I'm going to kind of rotate that around, bring, oh, whoa, that's not what I wanted. Come this way. I want to grab, oopsie, not that one, this one. I want to pull it over here, bring it down again. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes it's like, oh, I thought it was closer, and it's not. So, so just kind of bring it over. Oh my goodness, can you believe it? Do you ever get that where you're like, I thought it was way closer and in the vicinity, but all right. Now, the question was asked before about these callouts. I'll show you after we get this in place how to get rid of those again, because yeah, they can be a little, and it really in the model, they're not needed and they're not going to go away for any reason, you know, later on either. It's just nice to not have them clutter things up. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my axes of my countersunk holes in line with the axes of the threaded holes. So I'm going to do a coincident, this axis and that axis. Okay. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is I am then going to make coincident a new constraint, coincident this face and this face. Okay. And you'll notice that I'm fully defined. Okay. Which is good. The only other thing that I feel like, because remember, if I have an axis to an axis, Creo lets it be okay, but it's also good on a rectangular piece like this, especially if the sides are supposed to be like in line with each other. Then I like to put an orientation like parallel on one of those outside surfaces of that plate. So I like to add a new constraint. I'm just going to do a parallel. It doesn't mean it's going to be coincident. I just want them to be parallel to one another. I'm going to take this top and this part right here, and I'm going to just say, okay. All right. And now they're nice and parallel and oriented, even though it would have been fully constrained the way it was. It's just to ensure that it's not like cocked one way or the other. Then I'm going to grab this one and we will make that blue. And then we're going to put that very same plate on the other side here of our sliding jaw. So I'm going to assemble. I'm going to grab that same part back in. Now, again, you can copy, all right? I think somebody asked about copying the last time. Just be aware that if you copy the part in the design tree and paste it down below, or special paste it, I think is what it is, it's gonna hold those same constraints from that original part. I like to bring one in. It's not that hard to bring it in. I like to bring it in fresh and then just constrain it to my new surfaces. But either way works, okay? You'll just have to kind of sift through the constraints that are there. Then I'm going to grab, I'm going to do coincident. Oh, no. I want to orient this first. Sorry, I forgot that I brought it in. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to rotate it around. Ooh. I'm going to pull it up and forward. There we go. And then I'm in coincident, so I want one of these axes to be coincident to the other axis. And then I'm doing another constraint, coincident from this surface to this surface. Now I am fully defined, but I'm going to still add a parallel of the top to the, see, it's rotating around. Which way did it go? The top to the top. There it is. So that's going to ensure that it doesn't rotate around. So now I'm okay. And I'm going to change that one to blue as well. So now I'm going to get rid of these call outs. So I'm going to grab that one, left click, slow right click and hit hide. Left click, slow right click and hit hide. There we go. Okay, this looks good. File, save. I'm gonna put the hardware in at the end. Okay, so we'll leave those countersunk holes open for now. The next piece that I want to pull in is going to be the set screws that are going to go into each one of these holes. Okay, the set screws. So I'm going to look on my assembly. My set screw is number 25040. It's one of them that I have to change on there. So that's okay. I'm going to do my file 25040. Okay. And I'm going to come out and it's down over here. So let's kind of get it a little bit closer. And you'll notice that it's sitting upright here. So I am going to rotate it around this way so that it's kind of in line. All right. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make coincident the two axes. So I'm going to hit coincident. I'm going to grab this axis and that axis. And now that axis is in line with that one right there. Okay. Now you're going to notice, and I was fooling around with this and it's a little bit different all the time. So I'm going to shift this over so we can see. You'll notice that there is this surface all the way in. Okay. That's where the edge of my set screw on that shelf right there, or that shoulder, is supposed to be in line with. But it's so hard to get that little surface in there and those bumped up against each other. So what I found to be the easiest, okay, so now that we have these on the same center, what we're going to do instead is we're going to push this in here a little ways, and we are then going to add a new constraint, and that constraint is going to be distance, okay? And our distance is going to go from this outside surface here to the outside surface, this end of our set screw. And we want this offset to be 0.3. Okay, so it's going to be like up in there. So 0.3 is the distance offset. If you try to get those shoulders to coincide, tangent comes up most often. And then it's like, then I've got to back it back out and I got to try again. And I just find that it's so touchy. So distance seems to be the best one to do here. So a distance of 0.3 from each one of those. So let's do the other one in that very same manner. So I'm going to say, okay, because now it's gold and it's in there. All right. And then I'm simply going to change its color. We'll make it yellow. Okay. So now we're going to pull the other one back in. So I'm going to assemble 25040 again, open. You got to zoom out and shift over. I'm going to bring this one over here, zoom back in, and I'm going to flip this so it's kind of pointing in that direction-ish. And we are going to do first a coincident on the axis here to the axis of the one on the left here. There we go. It's in line. And then we're going to do that very same thing. I'm going to push it along in there so it's in the inside. That way it's on the correct side. Then it'll be 0.3 up into the sliding jaw. New constraint, distance. It's going to be from this surface to that surface. And my offset is going to be 0.3. Enter. Okay. And then okay. All right. Fully defined. And we're going to make that one yellow as well. All right, so my screws are up there. Good time to do a quick save. Questions so far? Okay. All right. So good. So good. Now we've got to get our little keys in there. Okay, our sliding keys. I'm going to get rid of the base. All right, because I need to like see in there. So I'm going to click on my base and I'm going to simply say hide. Okay. And we're going to be putting those sliding keys along each side here. Okay. So we're going to pull in the sliding key. The slide key is number 25040. So I'm going to hit assemble 25045. Open. All right. And I'm going to pull it up over here. Grab the ball. There we go. Why is this so hard? Come on. I think I'm the only one who struggles with, not really struggles with it, but it just takes me a little while to get things oriented for some reason. Get close in there. Come on. Okay. All right. Neither here nor there. Let's get it. Let's start getting it constrained here. So I want to rotate this over so that my notch is towards the inside. Now, this notch needs to be where that screw is by design. Okay. So I'm going to bring this down over here. I'm going to bring it down a little bit further and under. Down a little bit further and under. And in. So orientation wise, I'm trying to think what the easiest way to do this is. I have mine all on planes, center planes. So I'm going to do a parallelism, first of all, from this top surface to the top surface here so that they are on the same plane. Additionally, I'm going to do another parallelism on my inside surface here to that inside surface right there. Okay, so this is just orientation. You know, this is just making sure that it is, you know, it's going to float around here, but those planes are parallel. Okay, so they're kind of squared up to each other. Now I've got to get it constrained in position. So I can make a constraint that is going to be coincident of this front face to that front face. Okay, so that those are in line with one another now. Ooh, and oh, look at this actually flipped over on me. Do you see that? So I am just going to go back to the constraint where I had the parallelism this way, and I'm going to do a flip on that. And I should be able to, there we go. There we go. Parallel. Should be parallel. And then my last constraint is going to be another coincident. Oop, 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 oop. Something happened here. Let me go back for a second. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete that one. My parallel. This was to that surface and that surface. Okay. And then I want to constraint is this one and that one. I think I need to get rid of that first, and I need to rotate this over. There we go. I need that my cutout to be on the inside. New constraint. And I want this surface and that surface parallel. Okay. And I want a new constraint coincident on my inside surface here and the inside surface there. Good. And I want to do one more where I've got my coincident on my front face now and that face. Okay. Did it do it? This surface. Oops, oops, I think I. Did I not do that one yet? Oh, I've got this one. Yep, you're right. So this one is my last one that I need to do. So I need to add one more coincident. Go down here, new constraint, coincident, and it's going to be this surface to, sorry, I gotta get out that surface underneath. I don't know if I'm getting it. That surface under there. There we go. Thank you. Hmm? I have it to the, I'm not sure. I was gonna just check that. So if we look at, I'm gonna hit OK. And we're gonna look at that. We're gonna see if I wanna grab, is it this one? Yep, and I wanna hide that. And I wanna be sure, yeah, look at that. We have a problem, don't we? So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? Notice that my screw is not into here. So that was, I knew that was gonna happen. So now what do I have to do? Any ideas? I can move it back, can't I? Well, but that is constrained actually to the inside of the sliding jaw. So the screw can't go to the side of this slot because it's already constrained to the center line of the inside of the sliding jaw. So that's in place because of the sliding jaw. I have to adjust this back and forth, right? So what could I do? I could do a plane, a center plane through there. What else could I do? Are there any other options? But then it's in contact. You want to make sure that it's further in. Yeah. You could do a distance from that front edge. You could do a distance in because there is a little bit of play in there and you could see if you could get that distance to work. So there are a couple different ways to do it. Maybe you could do tangent. Did yours work for tangent? I mean, it worked. Oh, you don't want it. Yeah, you wouldn't want it to. You wouldn't want it to be because you want there to be a little play in there. Probably the best way to do it is, as Josh had said, a plane on the middle of the inside of this. Okay. And then that's going to share a plane with where those set screws are. So let's see here. Oh, I got a chat message. Is there another idea? Yeah, a distance constraint could work. A distance constraint could work. So let's see. Let's unhide our sliding jaw and let's go back into this one. Okay. So we had a coincident. We just got to find it. I think it was the second to last coincident right here. We had this one. So instead of coincident, we're going to change that to distance. And I'm going to go 0.0625 and we'll see. Now, which way did it go? It went out. So I want to flip that distance so that it goes in. I thought it was going to flip. There we go. I think we might have to do a negative 0.0625. That's a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. And let's see how that worked. So I'm going to go here. Oopsie. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to hide it. And we're going to see. Oh, it was a little far. Okay. So then you can adjust it again. So, so if we go back to, I think I've got to unhide that so I can see it when I do my constraint. All right. And I'll go back here and I'm going to adjust that distance here to be 0.05. Okay. So let's see if that works. I mean, totally valid, or you can line up planes. So now it's a little bit in. We're going to go back to hide this and oh, look at that. It's in there. So that would be totally okay to do it that way. So 0.05 would be a distance constraint. I think I'm going to stick with that. You could put planes in place and then line up the planes as well. All right. Either way. Does that make sense to everybody? I think the distance is probably the easiest. So we'll do that. What was that? 0.05 I got from that front edge. Yep. And I'm going to change my appearance here. We'll make this one, we'll do this one red. Okay. So we'll bring that in again. I'm going to unhide Oh, not red. Red's not a good color. We'll do blue. Okay. We're going to unhide and then we're going to pull that slide key back in and do that same process with an offset, sending it back 0.05. So I'm going to go to assemble 25045. Go all the way over here. Okay. Rotate this way. Pull this in. We'll start with our parallels. I'm going to say this surface. I'm just going to do the bottom surface because it really doesn't matter which one, whether it's the top or the bottom. Another new constraint parallel of, I'm going to say this outside surface to here. So those are nice and parallel. Now I'm going to constrain this so that we have a new one to be coincident from the top to the top. All right, so those are at the same level. And then we're going to do the in and out, new coincident. And now it's going to be this inside plane to that plane. All right, and then lastly, we need to get this in here, right? So I'm going to scooch that in a little bit. And then we're going to add that distance. Distance from here to here, 0.05. There we go. Okay. And we're going to hit OK. And we'll change this to blue. And then we'll check it just to be sure, which it should be totally good on this side. We're going to unhide it. And sure enough, we've got a little space on either side there of that set screw as that comes up. Perfect. I like it. So I'm going to unhide that. I'm going to unhide that. And now we have our base back in position. We've got our set screws underneath. We've got our slide keys in place. And we're going to hit a save. Let's take a little bit of a break. I'm going to stop the recording here. And then we'll come back and we'll do the last couple pieces. But I'll kind of stop and see if anybody has any questions or needs any assistance.